been seeing a lot is parents really trying to work through their own stuff with their children. That doesn't necessarily translate to what the child needs. So this parent who grows up with nothing that is like, well, I'm going to give my kid everything. But that too can also backfire. So I think that's what it is. Seeing a lot of parents, I wish they could just learn, like, don't take it personal. And I struggle myself. I'm a parent. Realizing nothing brings out your own wounds like your children. And logically even knowing, like, this isn't about me when my kid is acting this way, but you take it personal because it's your own wound. But it's not on the kid to heal your wound. It's you as the parent that have to learn who your kid is. I don't care if they're 2, 10, or 50. They are still your child.
That's Dr. Bahareh Talei sharing a fundamental truth with our CCO, Sharon Volner, on this episode of Beyond the Window. We delve into why our children's behavior often triggers our deepest wounds and how shifting the focus from fixing them to understanding ourselves is the key to breaking the cycle. Listen to their full, insightful conversation up next.
Thank you so much for joining us on Beyond the Window podcast here at Ventana Treatment Programs. My very special guest is Dr. Bahareh Talei, the founder of Diagnostic Counseling Center and Hive of Hope. Welcome, Dr. B.
Thank you for having me, Sharon. This is very exciting.
So what brings you to our podcast? What are you up to? What are your places up to? What's new?
Well, I am here because my biggest thing in personal and professional life is to give information that people can use. So that's probably the biggest thing. But mostly at DCC, Diagnostic Counseling Center, we do a lot of assessments, diagnosing, mostly known as a diagnostician, but we do have graduate students, postgraduate students, therapy, children, a lot of kids. We see a lot of kids and young adults is probably our biggest population. And then I have now Hive of Hope, which is a nonprofit to provide low-fee mental health services. So just trying to spread some information and help some people.
And I know that you've been quite an asset to the community. I know that I've referred family, friends, colleagues, clients to you, and they have found that their life is more enriched and fulfilled, and having a safe space to be diagnosed, which is something very personal, or receive therapy services is something very personal. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what are you seeing a lot of? Like, I know that there's sometimes themes that come into our offices, into our clinics. Any themes that you're seeing with young adults, with children, with parents?
Yes, actually, one of the bigger ones I think that's come to us is that parents and teens really struggling.
Yeah.
Or even kids, not even teens, but let's just say because that is a time of life that can be more angsty, I guess. But we've been seeing it. And what I've been seeing a lot is parents really trying to work through their own stuff with their children. So, and that doesn't necessarily translate to what the child needs. So, for instance, somebody that has grown up feeling very financially inadequate compared to their own peers in a community that didn't go to fancy places like all the other kids did in that community, or many of them did, but now has a child that there are no boundaries on what this child can ask for or be given. And that even in response to incidents that one wouldn't want to reinforce, that it does end up being reinforced because of the parent's own wound, let's say, from their own childhood or past. So this parent who grows up with nothing, that is like, well, I'm going to give my kid everything, right? But that too can also backfire. Anything in extreme, in a sense. So child has cussed at mother several times a day, but then at one of the mobile stores was like, well, there was this like a deal on getting the newest iPhone, and the child got one. So, and it wasn't about the kid. It was the parent trying to heal themselves in a way.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is. Seeing a lot of parents, I wish they could just learn, like, don't take it personal. And I struggle myself. I'm a parent. And Sharon, you and I have talked about this.
Yes.
That realizing nothing brings out your own wounds like your children.
Yeah. I took a big breath on that one.
You could tell it was coming. That is probably the biggest thing. So, people doing growth or being insightful and being aware and logically even knowing, like, this isn't about me when my kid is acting this way, but you take it personal because it's your own wound.
Yeah.
But it's not on the kid to heal your wound. It's not the kid to learn who you are as a parent. It's you as the parent that have to learn who your kid is. I don't care if they're 2, 10, 15, 30, 40, or 50. They are still your child. That to me is probably the biggest thing. And I try to really not just impart this information to people, but remind myself like a mantra. I'm a big thing about mantras. It kind of helps. But that, okay, kids, teenagers, whatever it is, they're not doing it to you as a parent, at you. It's not that. I want you to think about, we all know middle school. Am I allowed to cuss? No, am I or no?
Go for it. It could get bleeped out, or we'll just leave it in.
Well, I won't make
we
more
are
work.
family friendly.
No, then I will just use another word because I don't want to make more work for editing. So, let's think of middle school, which is, I call the depths of the devil's butthole. But I use another term. Okay?
That's accurate.
It is.
It is.
Middle school is the depths of the devil's butthole.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay. So I'm sticking to middle school because nowadays that seems to be the age of, like, just lots of difficulties. So your kid goes to middle school. At that age, typically you don't want to stand out. You want to fit in with everybody. You think everybody's talking about you or thinking about you, and oh my God, is this person, that person? But what's funny is they're all thinking that about themselves, so nobody's really thinking about the other person, but whatever. The kid is having social problems, like typical social problems. Or the teacher embarrassed them in front of someone. Okay, that kid really, if they're healthy in that way, they're not going to backtalk at the teacher or take it out on the friend. So when they come home, it's not them doing something to the parent. They are working stuff out through the parent.
Right. So are the parents that you're saying, are they even aware of this? I mean, they're bringing their teen to you because their teen is acting a certain way and they want to mitigate it, remedy it. Are the parents, or how do you enlighten the parents that their behavior, their response, their lack of response is where the attention needs to be? Also on the child, but on themselves.
Right.
What is this bringing up for you as a parent when your kid is acting this way? And I took a deep breath earlier because as a parent, I have held my tongue and I've also unleashed. And you know, you live and learn. But how does it come to fruition in your work? Can you bring it up to the families? And if so, how does that come out?
So the way I bring it up with parents is, okay, so you're telling me this is a problem. So the kid's great at school, but then comes home and, cusses you out or whatever, doesn't do homework. And you're like, so what is exactly you want work with. So some people say, well, their grades are bad. Well, is that where we really should be focusing? So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
Right? If your child is so depressed they can't get out of bed and they're always in their room and not socializing, I really don't want to worry about the grades. Let's get them up and bathed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? So I think it's also helping them even just be aware, like, what's the priority? What's more important here? Right? But it also, a lot of times I'll just say, okay, well, how did that work out for you? As a parent, like if they responded in a way or something, like how did that work out? And I think people that come to the office kind of know that I'm pretty direct and stuff. So I do kind of say it. I will say, well, do you think like if your child is doing unhealthy things and you then buying them a brand new iPhone or concert ticket, whatever it is, how do you think that's helping? And once you kind of present it that way to them, they do see a little bit, right? Maybe, hopefully. Sometimes you just have to be very, very direct and say, that's not going to help. Do you see how then you are reinforcing that behavior? Your words are one thing, but your actions are another. That's hard enough for adults to figure out with other people, let alone a kid. Right? So if your kid is never upset with you, you're always going to give in, because you got to think about it. Is it because I don't want them to be upset with me? Because that's my wound of rejection? But that's not on the kid. That's not going to help them any.
Well, I think a lot of parents don't see it as an issue. If I have a great relationship with my kid and their grades are bad, what does that have to do with me? I reward my child. I buy them things. I'm a good parent. We have a great relationship. But sometimes when they talk back, maybe not to me, maybe to their other parent, whether we're in the same home or in separate homes, a lot of parents, I think, have a hard time looking at their part in that dynamic and the wounds that are coming up for them that they may or may not see.
I think that's true for any person, though. Like, to really see yourself and like, oh my God, this is something I need to work on. This is an issue of mine. It is very hard.
Yeah.
You and I do this, and it's hard when we have to look at ourselves and say, this is an issue we need to work through. So it takes a lot. It's doable, and they aren't aware a lot of the time. But when you do bring it up, some are receptive. Some, it really maybe doesn't still kind of marinate, You keep bringing it up like little seeds and hope it takes for the parent. But I also want people to learn, like, it's not always on your parent to, like, heal you. That's the other part of this, right? So there's a couple of other important points. First, like, parents that come and say, kids screaming and yelling and slamming doors. And I say, okay, well, how does everybody then approach it in the home? But parents also scream and yell and cuss. So how do kids learn to emotionally regulate? If the parent has to show how to emotionally regulate. Are you always going to do it right? No, I don't. But then to say, you know what? That was messed up. Like, I lost my temper. That's my own stuff. That's not you. But, I'll make sure I'm more aware of it. Because that's also teaching them something, to take accountability, right? So I think that's something important to mention, but also that for those parents that then have the kids, and especially maybe, let's say, with teens, feeling rejected. So if you think about the typical wounds a lot of adults have, like, let's say, rejection, right? Abandonment.
Not feeling enough. Dismissed, right? Sometimes masking with, I'm doing the best that I can. I'm doing the best that I can. I'm looking at myself. I'm putting you in therapy. Look at me. Or don't look at me. I'm doing my best.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But, it's at some point, it no longer becomes the parent's responsibility, or even the ability is gone for them to heal the child's wound.
Yeah.
Okay? So as an adult, let's say I have a childhood wound, and my parent, after so many years, does take accountability and says, you know what? I messed up. Let's just say. All that would really do is maybe improve that relationship. How is that going to heal the wound, though? At that point, you have to take responsibility for your own self.
So then what do you recommend? How do we heal the wound?
I think it depends on the person and what becomes salient to you to heal that wound. So for me, I think a big part of being in the field and working with so many kids and teens and young adults and being there for them, that heals me in a bit, in a way. Through my own kids, or maybe through community activities, and pushing myself, The only way you grow, my kids say, put this on a t-shirt, but the only way you grow is when you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Only way. So even though that stuff does not feel good, that you have to think about or need to work through, you have to. That's the only way you're going to grow. Payoffs only come with risk. If you played safe all the time, how's anything going to change, really? So but when you going to therapy, and doing it right, not right, but actually being present and open. And I have a client, and lovely older woman, and I don't want to say older, but older adult woman. And she came to me about 5 years ago and said, okay, I've been in and out of therapy my whole life, pretty much since I was 12. She sat down, she said, I'm ready to do it right this time. Because she had been holding back from therapists or wouldn't do the work, okay? Tested another woman, did not get a diagnosis that she wanted, and was very upset, saying, then am I just destined to be miserable? I've done everything I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's the therapy, doctor's appointments, this, that. And I said, okay. You do understand just going to your appointment once a week for therapy, that's not going to fix anything. That's not going to make things better. You just going there. The point is to implement whatever you've got going there at all the times you're not there.
Yeah, I always like to say that your homework isn't, the work isn't in the session. It's what you do from the time I don't see you to the time I see you again.
Perfect.
That's where the work is. It's not this, it's a magical hour, but it's not magic.
Right. What that hour does is help you identify patterns. It's to give you some perspective of someone else's position, validating, right? Because if you think about it, any person in this world, no matter what the age is, all they want to do is be seen. That's it.
And there's a commitment. So I understand with this client coming back and saying, I'm ready to do the work. It's sometimes when a teen is presented in therapy, it's a parent's perspective is you fix them. Why do I have to go to therapy? What more do I need to look at? And do I have to because I'm really busy? Which is never a good role model example for the teen. But sometimes it's a system issue. So the teen has to go. The parents have to go.
How are things going to change?
They get to go.
Right.
They get to go.
You see this here.
Yeah, I see this here.
So if you're here, you're with me, it's fine. Or you're in treatment, it's fine. But if you just go back to the same environment, nobody...
Yeah.
How is that going to help?
And the goal is to change the system, to change the multi-generational trauma, to change the the processes to change the communication. Start there. And it doesn't change overnight.
Right. It takes time. Yeah. But you're also modeling.
Yeah.
You know, and if your kid rejects you no matter what the age, it's okay. Like, just, you got to keep trying. Your arms just have to be wide with love.
Because you're right. They're not doing it to you or at you. They're working their stuff out. And having a limited capacity of knowing how to emotionally regulate. If I grow up in a house of screaming parents, I know that that works because I watch my parents do it. It works for me, but I'm not allowed to do it at school. And I'm not allowed to do it, with my friends because nobody would tolerate that. So I'll just bring it back home and do it there.
And I'm going to just bite my parents' head off because they forgot to pack my water bottle. Right? So it's that.
Yeah.
Because really, especially teenagers, they're so involved with their own lives. A lot of times they're not thinking about the parents' feelings and what issues they have going on.
And it's not like that part of the brain is formed, empathy isn't formed to like 14, 15 maybe.
Maybe.
So it's not like they have the capacity for that. Whereas the adults do have the capacity, but sometimes we feel like, why do I have to? Like, I have to go to work, and I have to make their lunch, and I have to clean after them. And now I have to have a little more empathy when they're acting that way. And now I have to make time to go to therapy to work on me. Like, I don't want to make time for that right now.
But that comes with the territory.
Yeah. It sure does. It sure does.
It comes with the territory.
Yeah.
And it is hard. I'm not saying it isn't.
Yeah.
But that's the time to do it.
Yeah.
Especially.
What about when you hear adults saying, well, I'm working on it? Which is a line that a lot of people in treatment don't like hearing from their peers because they've used it themselves and they know when someone says, I'm working on it.
I'm cop-out. It's a cop-out.
It's a cop-out.
So it is a cop-out, most likely. Usually.
It's not to say that some people aren't working on it.
Right.
But sometimes it does show up as a cop-out.
And or they say, well, you know how I am. That's the other one. Well, you know how I am, and this is just me. That's the other one.
Which is just powerful words to reinforce how you are.
And it's like, okay, so you're going to scream at me, but okay, then if I walk by and I want to smack you upside the head, I have impulse control, I don't do it. But now, like if I do that, well, you just know what I am, how I am. Yeah. That's not good enough.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it does suck, but you know what? That's your kid.
Yeah.
So if you really, again, it's on you to learn about them. So if that's what your goal is, to work on that relationship, then that you have to do it. Because we have those parents that drop off, and all of these offices do that. They just drop them off. Okay? Being totally hands-off isn't the way, right? And then being completely involved can also be problematic.
Mm-hmm. Helicopter. There's a name for it.
So, because either way they're not healthy. Like, it just doesn't. It's like you got to be somewhere in the middle. Yeah. Sometimes, and it's not so clear cut. You're a little bit on one side for a little bit. You're on the other side for a little bit. That's okay. But I have parents that it's so overinvolved that it's causing more issues for the child. Like the amount of typically mothers getting involved in their teenage daughter's social drama has made things worse. It's because it's bringing up their mother's own.
I was going to ask, is that also a symptom of, again, the parents' wounds coming up? The overinvolvement or the detached?
Right.
So how do people find a healthy balance? Can you help them find a healthy balance of, here's how involved I want you to be, here's how involved I don't want you to be, here's what I need you to let go and look at yourself, here's where I want you to be involved?
Right. So because we've also had this come up consistently, that we're going to start something for parents of teens at our office to help. I don't like the term like parent training or like anything like that, because yeah, I think we all can sense, okay, well, what makes a good enough parent, as they say in our field, but you don't parent your kids the same way. So I've got 3 kids. Each one has a different mother, right? Because their experiences are different.
Yeah.
But I parent them differently.
So what about the idea that some parents just want to be fair across the board? I want to treat my kids fairly, regardless of their age, gender, age gap.
Or their ability, or
step parenting, or their ability, or their disability. But I want to treat my kids fairly because there's this sense that everything needs to be fair.
Well, life isn't fair. So right there, that's not going to work. It's just not. To me, this is my opinion. It's like, okay, well, we have the basics of, shelter, clothing, food, and parenting, basic parenting, right? Like, okay, I come to your games, make sure you're fed, you're clean. Just that let's say that minimal bar. So then it becomes, where do you go from there? How do you then figure it out? It's not a one size fits all. One kid may not need discipline. I have a kid like that. They're harder on themselves than anybody. Mm-hmm. So, right? I totally lost my train of thought for a moment, Sharon, there.
So does that mean you're not an active parent with him? Or do you feel like you're not an active parent with him because he's just so self-reliant and on his own?
Okay, so this is how I kind of explained it, and I said this to my son when he was graduating high school. I said that, your dad and I, when you're little, we were walking in front of you, right? You had you. As you've gotten older in high school and stuff, we're beside you. Now you're off to college and everything, and we're behind you. But you know what, Cyrus? There's going to be times you're going to need us right there next to you, and times you're going to need us up in the front.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. You got to gauge it. For instance, I do go to the local high schools. I'm close to the Korean College Center ladies, counselors at the high school. And when college application time comes, they ask me to come in. The amount of times I need to say, if you are doing your child's application, do you think this is a good idea that they leave out of state?
Ooh. But it's hard. They don't know. Those forms are very complicated.
Figure it out. They have to figure it out. I personally don't want my kid calling me at 2 a.m. saying, you have to come 5 hours away because I had a fight with my romantic partner.
Yeah.
If you're just constantly doing everything. And I tell parents, middle schoolers, high schoolers, elementary kids too, their friends or their little crushes or whatever you want to call it, this is practice for real life.
Right.
If you're coming in like a bat out of hell because some kid said something to your kid.
So there is a lot of over-involvement with parents. A lot, obviously, in kindergarten, elementary school, and sometimes it follows them in middle school where kids are not getting along. And I do believe that if we just let them be, they will figure it out. Let them. I'm not pro-violence. However, in our days,
yes,
we fought it out on the playground, whether we were pushing each other or picking each other, and then there was always someone telling us not to get involved. But today, kids come with parents and lawyers, and so it's really hard because everyone has rights, which is a good thing, but we're not teaching our kids to learn to work it out on their own. And
you know what?
And then that follows them to college with somebody's going to fill out my application. It's okay. My parents will step in and help me. It's okay. My mom will stop everything and Zoom with me. And I've seen it too with young adults. And it's, why are you so available? How will they learn to do it for themselves if you don't let them?
Right.
And I loved the middle school that my daughter went to. It was like orientation, first day, just before first grade of sixth grade. And the principal said, let them fail.
Yep. That's what I say.
And I was like, what? And she goes, I don't want to hear from you. Let them not come in with a homework assignment.
Yep.
Let them fail their class. And I was blown away. I felt like
That's
she
what I
was
said.
talking to me. Or when my daughter was in martial arts and my sensei took her she came out of class running to me because something had happened on the mat. And he came and spoke to her, completely ignoring me, and said, if you want to be in my class, you don't come to your mom, you come to me. And he looked at me and he said, you might need to leave. And those two experiences, and they were right around the same time, were the most learning for me, because it gave me permission to let her. She was going to be okay or not okay, and she will figure it out.
Right. And that's what's important, because think about it. How do we figure it out? You stumble, right? Like, not being able to do something isn't a failure. You're just learning from it.
It's a
that didn't
learning
work.
experience,
Right.
yeah.
So you're not letting them have that because you're trying to make it okay, right? But it sets them up to fail.
Yeah.
So the kid where the parents are filling out the college applications, these are the kids that go out of state and then they stumble and they can't, so they have to come back. So in my opinion, I say this too, like the middle school principal. At some point, we all really have our hard moments, right?
Yeah.
Hard times, and we didn't make the best decisions. But I'm telling you, you would rather have your kid stumble and fail in middle school, even high school, than when they're 20, 30, 35, 40, 50, because they weren't allowed to do things for themselves in case they did it wrong or they didn't do it because you were concerned. Listen, again, I get it, right? Like my son having his first apartment at college this year and having to do the utilities and do all this. You think I didn't want to take over because of my own anxiety? Every day, did they do the utilities? Did
What
they
if he's
do
late
this?
on a bill?
What size bed do we need to get? All of these things.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my own anxiety. It has nothing to do with him. And guess what? It was done. Now, I would have maybe done it 4 weeks ago, but he did it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think those are the important things because they also then feel good about it.
And it's a lot harder when they fail older in life because they feel like, I should know this by now, I'm 30.
Right.
Why don't I know how to manage my own feelings? Why don't I know how to do basic life stuff? And I see it all the time having adult programs here where we hear adults and their younger teens come out. And like it could be a 50-year-old woman, but it's the 16-year-old that checks in and says, I don't know how to do this. Or I've done it for everyone else and I don't know how to do it for myself. And it doesn't feel good doing it for myself. And I also need to check out earlier because they need me out there. So it's this, I hear your messaging as how do we take care of our youth is we have to take care of ourselves. We have to really hone in on our parenting wounds.
And own them ourselves.
Yeah.
It's not on them. It's not on them to fix.
Yeah.
Because they're still kids. At some point, then it's the responsibility of the person. So I like this and I think of like, okay, if I'm going to give a gift to you, Sharon, okay? I'm going to give you a present. But you don't take it. Who does it belong to? Who is it? Who does it belong to? Me, right?
Yeah.
Because you didn't take it. Okay. So if you're going to bring negativity or ugliness or whatever you want to call it, I'm not going to take that present. You keep it. You know? And that's what's like we got to teach our kids. And even teaching them, you're not responsible for me. They will take it on. And even if this is the thing. Parents say, well, I don't make that demand. They put it on themselves. I got divorced. My 9-year-old son said to me, well, I'm the man of the house now. I have to take care of you and my sisters. Where did this message come from? Right? It's innate, a lot of it. And they're kids. It is a very self-centered time, right?
Yeah. So how does one take the messaging off the child? When, for example, your son says, I'm the man of the house, how do you say, no, I am? Or how do you...
I'm the man of the house.
I'm the man of the house.
But saying something like, you know what? That's a really big thing, and I love that you care about us so much. However, that's more of an adult thing. That's too much responsibility.
Yeah.
You got to enjoy being a kid, right? So I think a lot of times, even I lose sight of it, of their own self, like what they put on themselves.
So giving them permission to not take something on.
Right.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I'm validating. And I'm also going to allow you not to take it.
Because I'm the adult.
It's an adult thing. Yeah.
And that's what you say. You don't you can share about certain things about yourself or your life, but not too much. Their brains aren't developed enough to process it. And then it's also, you're maybe opening up too much, and it's about you who they have this relationship with, but maybe others, like their grandparents, let's say, their brains aren't processed. People have to remember, teenagers especially, like it's all hormones, and the frontal lobe is underdeveloped.
Right.
They're not the same person. You're very difficult 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old. It's not going to be the same person.
Right.
Okay? They say around 16, 17, hopefully there's some little bit of glimmer of it things getting better in terms of the emotional stuff.
So what about the flip side? Like when a young adult in their early 20s is blaming their parents for how they are.
Oh, you
I'm this way because of you. Your responsibility is to now fix it. You damaged me as a kid. So your responsibility is to pay my way, is to fix my problems, is to be available when I call you.
I would say, has that worked for you in the sense of making you happy?
Well, I'm not happy because you damaged me.
Right. And I'm sorry you feel like that's the experience. I'm sorry if I've ever made you feel that I didn't love you or I damaged you. It's okay to say sorry to your kid. It's a good thing. Again, another skill to teach them.
Yeah.
Take accountability. I always talk about this. Once I was so mad I threw a chicken wing across the kitchen. Not at anyone, but just across the kitchen. Flying chicken wing. But I was like, oh, that's not good. And I was just like, oh my gosh, you guys, I am really sorry. Like, that was unacceptable.
Not me in my best light.
No.
Yeah.
It was frustration, but I can see I need to work on it.
So admitting our wrongs as an adult, apologizing when appropriate, not over-disclosing, giving permission for them to be youth and
let
kids.
them feel what they feel. So many times, teenager, if they go through their first heartbreak, and I get it, parents don't want their kids to cry or feel bad. Again, it's that uncomfortable feeling, right? But they have to feel it.
Yeah.
And you know what? At 13, 14, that heartbreak is earth-shattering. You as a parent, maybe you're looking at it from an adult stressed out with bills and middle age or whatever it is. You have to remember that, put yourself back, and that it is earth-shattering.
Right.
Because a lot of times from love, parents will dismiss.
Right.
So don't worry about it. You're going to have so many more girlfriends, boyfriends, partners, whatever.
That's not helpful now.
Not helpful. But they're trying to make them feel better.
Right.
But it's dismissive.
Yeah.
And really I want people to think, okay, do you want your kid, when things go wrong, I'm very good about the not cussing, by the way, today. When things go wrong, do you want your kid to say, oh, shoot, I better call mom? Or do you want to say them to say, oh, shoot, mom better not find out? Seriously.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of parents do, I'll pick you up anytime from anywhere and won't ask questions. That's what you do. You pick them up, no questions, because they called you.
Right.
From a party if they need it. You don't then say, well, why would you even...
Right.
Why would you even go? Why did you do this? Why? They called you. And you do exactly what you said. So it's a lot of that. But we've been seeing a lot of that. I think just people being more aware that with our kids, is this our own stuff? And of course, sometimes it is them. You have to have boundaries and discipline and stuff like that. I'm not your friend. I'm your parent. I have to unleash you into society. But that, you know what? Even for anybody, this goes. Two things I wish everybody in this world could understand. First, don't take it personal. And this goes for everybody.
Yeah.
Not just about kids, parents, everybody. Don't take it personal. Most of the time it's not. It's not, right?
Even when it is, it's not.
Even when it is, it's not. Right? And that, number 2, crappy things happen to good people and crappy things happen to bad people. It does not mean because you've had 2 or 3 crappy things happen to you that like you're at your limit, no more crappy things are going to happen.
Right.
Okay? The only difference between people is how are they going to cope.
Right.
So those two lessons I wish like could be just...
And that's a hard one, not just for teens, but also for adults. Because again, when we're talking about adults needing to look at themselves, needing to heal their wounds, identifying that there's wounds is a huge one. Because most of the time we're so preoccupied with, I have bills and work and demands and all the roles that I play in people's lives and I don't have time.
Right.
Or I don't want to. I really don't want to. I'm tired. Or haven't I done enough? That's another one that I hear. I've done enough.
But you know, if
I didn't sign up for this. Sorry,
yes, I've heard that I didn't sign up for this.
I brought you here to talk to my daughter about how she is. I didn't bring her here so you could tell me to look at myself or to teach me how to parent. I got that. So I came in here for this, and now you're telling me to look at these other things. I don't have the capacity for that.
So you say, well, has that been working? How has that been working for you? And so what are then the other options if this continues? So you got to, and I know you do this, like you break it down. So either you don't change, right, or do anything in any capacity, and either it continues the way it is, which isn't working. The kid cuts you off. That seems to be upsetting.
Yeah.
It would be upsetting. Or so if you put, well, you've been trying the same solution. It's not working. And I'm having the same conversations with the kids too. Like, listen, nobody saves anybody. It's your parents, they're there, they can give you the opportunities, right? Or teach you certain skills, but it's you take responsibility too. You know, like everybody has accountability.
And that's a tough one. That's a real tough one because I've always known the mentality of, you know, the difference between kids and adults is kids blame and adults take responsibility, but kids need to take responsibility.
Yes, and not all adults take responsibility.
And not all, exactly.
And being okay with it. But that's the thing, right? Because if you say like, even when it's personal, it's not really personal, and crappy things happen, like I just have to cope with it, like, cope with it. How are you going to cope? You look at who you have in your life and what you can get from them. Am I going to keep going to the same person over and over and over again if I've never gotten anything from them? Well, then that's on me if I keep doing the same approach. And I think and a lot of people, they're not aware of their wounds. I think we can maybe, this is a good idea is maybe like when those reactions do come up, right? For someone and you become very reactive or the feelings are extreme, sit for a second, sit in it and say, what am I feeling? Is it really because Johnny forgot his water bottle at school again? Probably not about the water bottle. And you sit, and it takes time.
Yeah. And maybe it's not about Johnny's water bottle. It's because
about, I don't feel appreciated and I have to then worry about it and I've bought 5. It's not about the water bottle.
and I don't feel hurt because I reminded Johnny 12 times before he got out of the car.
I don't feel listened to.
And how many times in my life have I not felt listened to?
Right. The patterns, they're maybe not the same, but they are the same.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll be starting the parenting thing soon.
Kids are an excellent mirror. And for anyone that doesn't have kids, it's still an invitation if someone is triggering us to look at where is it coming from.
Yes.
And is this really about you, or are you reflecting back something to me that I need to look at? Or is it really you? Or is it really me? And I need to look at that.
Right. And I think also realizing and thinking about, if you're hearing a similar thing from different people, gotta kind of be like, okay, now.
Yeah.
I gotta maybe look at this. If 4 or 5 people who don't know each other are kind of reflecting back to me something, then maybe I gotta look at that.
Yeah. So we talked about a lot of things.
Oh my goodness.
What are our few takeaways that you would want our listeners and viewers to really hold on to?
So try not to take things personally. Usually they're not. Even when they are, they're not. Number 2, that crappy things are going to happen. That's life. It happens. Good people, bad people, all people. Only difference, how are you going to cope? And then also with other people around your life, if they make you feel some sort of way, what is it? At some point, is it serving you to blame and just say, well, if they just took accountability for what they did to me. But again, it's not going to heal the wound. It'll help the relationship likely, but not the wound. So I think those 3 things.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you. B, thank you so much for coming on to the show. We'll make sure that your information is super accessible for our viewers and our listeners to check you out and get some help and have some enlightenment and some reflection. So thank you.
That's all for this episode. A special thanks to Dr. Bahareh Talei for her wisdom. And if you'd like to learn more, visit www.centerdcs.com. Join us next time on Beyond the Window for more conversations that go beyond the surface.